Members, I'm going to bring us back to the bill and what this bill is about, because this bill is about taking care of Minnesotans and their families. Specifically, we've talked about a lot of numbers and statistics so far, but I want to bring your attention to a few more. In 2016, African American Minnesotans were 2 times more likely to die of a drug overdose than their white counterparts. In 2016, Indigenous Minnesotans were 6 times more likely to die of a drug overdose than their white counterparts. 6 times. That's a lot. These disparities in the overdose deaths in our state are the worst race disparities in drug overdose mortality in the entire country. And I know some folks don't like to talk about disparities or talk about race or class or the things that do exist, but they exist whether we talk about them or not. We talk about those disparities and inequities a lot, and all those other disparities, poverty, racism, educational outcomes, sexual assault rates, trauma, adverse childhood experiences, these disparities layer on top of each other and impact who lives and who dies in this opioid epidemic. And it speaks to the pain experienced in some of our communities, pain caused by those disparities, because that is what the opioid crisis is really about. It's about pain and how we deal with that. This is not to say that any family's loss is more deserving of attention than any other. Any death is one too many. But when we know that those disparities exist, it is on us to act. As we address disparate impacts on the health of our communities, on farmers, on veterans or other groups, it is just as necessary that we address the disparate impacts on our Indigenous and African American friends and neighbors. So I thank you, Representative Olson, and all the others that have poured so much into this bill for recognizing these disparities and meaningfully including and engaging with Indigenous communities. The first hearing for this bill was an informational hearing in Mille Lacs. That's never been done before. Thank you for turning off your computer, Representative O'Driscoll. The first hearing for this bill was an informational hearing in Mille Lacs. And that was incredibly important because you all on that committee, Chair Moran, you went up to Mille Lacs and you listened to people and you listened to them where they are. So thank you for doing that. That is really what our job is about. And I thank you for including culturally specific addiction and prevention programming in this bill. Acknowledging the disparities that exist in the opioid epidemic and in overdose deaths, and then changing the way we address that problem, that is how we right this ship. That is how we save Minnesotans' lives. So I am grateful to you, Representative Olson, for leading on this issue. It is so clear to me that you hear the stories of the families and you internalize that and you use that as a resolve to act. So I thank you for your leadership on this, and Representative Baker and everyone else who's put so much time over really the years into this issue, and we're finally here voting on a really good bill. That's why we're here. That's why we do this job. To lead in a good way. It's a good bill that I'm very proud to support. Vote yes, members.